Hey, shalom, 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 lakam, which is peace unto you all. Hi, Rob Tawab, la atam, za achyakam yawam, and rachagado, Charlotte, which is good evening. This is your brother Yawan from the GMS camp in Charlotte. Nachamatam, kaya, hamalakata, shamayim, kwa repent ye for the kingdom of heaven is at hand. Call layim la Allah, abanawa, Yahweh, bahasham, Yahweh Shai, bahasham, ruchak, wadash, wamashanala, zapanim nawa, wamala akyam, sharuchagado, which is all praises to our Father Yahweh, which means he exists. Bahasham, in the name Yahweh Shai, he delivers in double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone. Zaban Sirach, this is Ecclesiasticus, also Ban Sirach, chapter 38. And we'll get verse 4, and it says, the Lord hath created medicines out of the earth, and he that is wise will not abhor them. All right, reading it again, it says, the Lord hath created medicines out of the earth, and he that is wise will not abhor them. And ultimately, the earth consists of multiple different, medicines. All right. And even, the medicines that we don't know about, on this side, but we do have, a knowledge of, particular things that the Lord has essentially blessed us to understand, whether that be the herbs, eating correctly. Because the scriptures say that essentially a king will have a cheerful heart, will have a king will have a cognizance of his meat and diet. All right, what your diet consists of, your lifestyle, and then also actually what you eat. So those go into medicines as well. But reading it back, Bonsarach 38 and 4, it says, the Lord hath created medicines out of the earth, and he that is wise will not abhor them. All right, and ultimately, Esau Edom, the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. He covereth the faces of the judges thereof, if not wherein who is he, so Esau ultimately has covered over the faces of the judges, being the Most High Yahweh, while his son Yahweh Shai are in the Israelites are, because, we are the true judges of the earth. All right. And not only the images are during the time of the Renaissance, you see, but also essentially what the judges stand for. All right. And the judges essentially stand for this truth. All right. And what's in this truth is essentially the things that the Lord said, hey, don't abhor the medicines. All right. As we just read. All right. In Esau's system, I can't remember what they call it. I think it's allopathic or something like that. But pretty much it was a certain period of time to where Esau went from a holistic approach to what we see nowadays. All right, the pharmaceuticals. All right, which those really go into drugs, and they really don't help. They're not really medicines. All right, they're really destroying the body. So what the Lord created. All right, and the stones. The herbs. All right, so on and so forth. Those are medicines that can ultimately help our well-being. All right, so continuing on, verse 4 says, verse 5 it says, the latter of verse 4 says, he that is wise will not abhor them. And ultimately, Esau showed that he abhorred them, so showing that he's not the wise one. All right, ultimately, the wise ones will be the elect. All right, so let's continue on to verse 5. It says, was not the water made sweet with wood, that the virtue thereof might be known. So it's certain woods. It's a certain wood that, if it was bitter water, because if water is bitter, we're not supposed to drink it, but you can use wood. You could use a certain type of wood and throw it into the water, and it'll make it sweet. It'll cancel out that bitter effect, and it'll make it drinkable, because water is what would be known as a medicine as well. And I'm going to actually get this in it. And right here it says, water is not a medicine by typical definition. Technically, it is a medicine. I got this definition right here. It says medicine. It says a substance or preparation used in treating disease. It says something that affects well-being, so technically water would be a medicine. All right, reason being because it lists off these right here. It says, but it is vital. It is a vital nutrient essential for life, bodily functions, and it can be considered a natural remedy, so pretty much a medicine. Because it supports the body's processes, which it doesn't act in the same way as, herbs and stones and things of that nature, but nevertheless, it helps, all right, in the body's overall well-being. It's like a daily medicine. It's like a daily, we have to have water, we have to intake water daily because it goes along with the body's natural processes. But it says, it can be considered a natural remedy because it supports the body's processes and helps manage symptoms of illness. It says adequate hydration helps regulate body temperature, transports nutrients, lubricates joints, aids digestion, and flush out waste products, and may help prevent or relieve conditions like constipation, kidney stones, and headaches. So we need to drink water. And I'm actually get that example, This is Bayath Exodus chapter 15, and we'll get verse 22. And it says the Lord Yahweh Bahasham Yahweh Shai provides water. It says, so Moses brought Yasher Allah from the Red Sea, and they went out into the wilderness of Shur. And they went 3 days in the wilderness and found no water. And when they came to Marah, which Marah means bitter, it says, when they came to Marah, they could not drink of the waters of Marah, for they were bitter. Therefore, the name of it was called Marah. So when we actually go into this, when we break this word down, Marah, it says, when we have these right here, the Ma and the Ra. Ma is water, Ra is a head. So the water head, or the location of water, all right, at the head in a river, it will be bitter. So that's why the word for mar, all right, it means bitterness, all right, but it has the ha right here, because it's an actual place. It's a feminine noun. That ha is talking about an actual place. So it says Marah, which is bitter. All right here it says bitterness from the root marar. It says a bitter or brackish fountain in the peninsula of Sinai. So technically, we're not supposed to drink bitter waters, because it will be bad for the body. But it says, and when they came to Marah, they could not drink of the waters of Marah, for they were bitter. Therefore, the name of it was called Marah. And the people murmured against Moses, saying, what shall we drink? And he cried unto the Lord, and the Lord shewed him a tree, which when he had cast into the waters were made sweet. There he made for them a statute and an ordinance, and there he proved them. So ultimately the Lord, used that piece of wood, or that piece of wood was used to ultimately make those waters it sweeten the waters up, all right, to make it drinkable. Going back to the precept we got right here, Bonsarat 38 and verse 5, it says, was not the water made sweet with wood, that the virtue thereof might be known. So ultimately, that's an example as to how the Lord has made medicines out of the earth, you see, because essentially it made that water drinkable, all right, in which we need water. All right, so going back, let's get Psalms chapter 104. All right, and we'll get verse 14. And it says, he causeth the grass to grow for the cattle, and herb for the service of man, that he may bring forth food out of the earth. Now let's get his word for herb. And it says herb, herbage, grass, green plants. All right. And it says green herb, full grown, and in seed. So it has to be it has to have a seed. All right. And that word is Ishab, in which it says I, which means to experience. Shab means pressure. And then the ba goes into the house, or the man. So I also goes into experience. It also goes into serve. So I believe this word goes into it says Ishab. It says I, which means to serve. The sha is pressure, and then the ba is the house. I will actually have to go to my notes. I'll post it in the description box once it's uploaded. But Ishab is the word for herb, and it's used for the service of man, because herbs ultimately allow the body to be able to function optimally. Whereas, with regular, like the pills and stuff like that, those things break the body down, and those things ultimately go back to like witchcraft and sorcery and stuff like that, but what the Lord has made, again, is the herbs. The herbs, all right, the foods. All right, foods are also medicine. All right, and then stones. Stones also go into medicines as well. So I'm gonna get that. Let's get Exodus Shamwath chapter 28, and we'll get verse 17. All right, and it says, let me get this word for sardius. And it says Adam, and it says carnelian. This actually goes into carnelian. All right. And when we ultimately break this word down, so the word is Adam. A means strength. Da or dam is just the word for blood. Right here, the word for blood is dam, da, and it has a ma. So it goes into blood. All right, it says by analogy, the juice of the grape. All right, bloodshed. All right, so reason that I want to get this and how this correlates to the lesson is because carnelian would go into a medicine as well. You know, it's a stone, you know, and it says Adam. And pretty much when we break this word down, it's going to go into this right here. It says strong blood. All right, and what that means is that stone in particular, you know, is very good for blood circulation. All right, let's do this real fast. All right, it says, what is carnelian good for? It says carnelian is a gemstone believed to provide a range of physical, emotional, and spiritual benefits, including boosting physical energy, enhancing creativity, and increasing self-esteem and motivation. It is known as a stone of deed. It says it can help overcome procrastination and indecisiveness, inspire courage by public speaking, promote positive life choices, and provide protection against negative emotions like rage and envy. All right, right here. It says boost energy. Carnelian is thought to increase physical vitality and stamina. The stone is believed to stimulate the metabolism, aiding in vitamin and mineral absorption. It is said to improve blood circulation. You know, so basically it allows your blood to circulate. And how we understand that Bahala Shwan Kwadash in the Holy Tongue is because when we break this word down, Ah goes into strength. Dam is the blood. So strong blood. When you wear carnelian, it ultimately helps with the blood circulation, and we understand that, you know, because we again we broke that word down through the spirit, and we also got, you know, how the Lord made the medicines out of the earth, you know. So let's see. I'm gonna also get this because I quoted it, and that'll be it. But this is Bonsarat chapter 30, and we will get verse 25, and it says a cheerful. I'm gonna get verse 15. And it says, health and good estate of body are above all gold, and a strong body above infinite wealth. You know, so what helps to have a strong body, all right, is using the medicines out of the earth. All right, using the medicines out of the earth, you know, eating the correct foods, as we'll get Adonai Tazah in verse 25. All right, you know, having stones. All right, you know, the teas, you know, they have the herbs. All right, actually ingesting the herbs, and also exercise. You know, scriptures say that bodily exercise profiteth a little, you know, but it still has a profit, you know, roughly paraphrasing. So reading it again, Bonsarat 30 and 15, it says, health and good estate of body are above all gold, and a strong body above infinite wealth. All right, because, you know, we want to be in a good estate of body. All right, and that's better than having riches, you know, because there's people, you know, like Stephen Hawkins, or the dude that was in a wheelchair, you know, he had all that money, you see, but, you know, he couldn't do nothing with it, you know, because he didn't have a good estate of body. So it says, there is no riches above a sound body, and no joy above the joy of the heart. You know, so ultimately being able to, you know, be blessed with this truth, and ultimately understanding that having a good health, good estate of body, all right, and understanding that there's no riches above a sound body, and what ultimately gives us that is this truth. It says, and no joy above the joy of the heart. All right, this truth ultimately brightens up. It brightens up our countenance. All right, I'm gonna get that real fast. All right, because this truth brings health. This is Ecclesiastes chapter 8 and verse 1. It says, who is as the wise man, and who knoweth the interpretation of a thing? A man's wisdom maketh his face to shine, and the boldness of his face shall be changed. You know, so this wisdom ultimately allows us to be healthy. All right, and in the wisdom, it tells us, hey, you know, to use the medicines out of the earth, you know, to use, you know, which that ultimately consists of the stones, the herbs, you know, eating the correct foods. All right, having a good diet, you know, with your diet don't just go into what you eat, you know, that it goes into your lifestyle as well. So let's get this as well. This is Bonsarat 30 and 25. It says, a cheerful and good heart will have a care of his meat and diet, you know. So ultimately, you know, in order to have, you know, a healthy and a good mind, all right, ultimately, we need to watch, what we eat, and also what we intake, whether that's, what we're hearing, who we're around, what we're seeing. All right, all of those things go into our diet, you know. So again, Adarantazah, Zabanaya Palo as well. That was a beautiful edification to the spirit. Wa Adarantazah, Atam Yashlak Allah Ta'ala as well. You have a good night. Wa Shalom Lakam, which is peace unto you all. Shalom, shalom.